Hey everyone, welcome to an all-new episode of Video and Arcade Brothers. We are back for another fun-filled weekend of news referring to video.
Game. Collectibles.
Oh, and he messed that one up. So too bad for someone who said he was
I
wide
thought I was
awake.
ready.
Oh,
Alright, yeah.
that's great.
Get that right.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. As always, your support is amazing. As we see, D Money 87 is in the chat. Welcome, and she is saying, "Let's go,
Let's go,
baby. Let's do it." And today's actually a very special show. Something that we're gonna give credit to Josh's wife, and I'll let Josh talk about what the plan for tonight is. Josh, take it away, buddy. What are we doing today?
Yeah. So my wife Danielle, D Money, who's in the chat. After our last show, she kind of threw out a recommendation for us, and she noticed how passionate we were talking about our past and things that we grew up with, and she said it'd be cool if you guys did an episode where you kind of just talk about older things instead of focusing on the new news. And obviously with the Nintendo Direct that just happened, I know there was some big news that we can talk about, and maybe we will quickly touch on it. But I threw it at Danny and Rick, and they liked the idea. So props to my wife coming up with the great ideas, supporter of the show. So yeah, we're gonna throw things back a little this week and talk about things we watched, we played, and we collect, and things that we collect because it reminds us of being younger. Exactly. And so we're doing a little throwback episode. I'm excited.
We got some good topics.
I know we're like 80s kids. Like I consider myself an 80s kid because I was born in 89. So I'm on the brink. I got 80s and I got the sweet 90s cartoons. So like I grew up in that epic era. Yeah. So I'm excited to get things going, and let's do this.
All right,
I just gotta say, let's go.
Oh baby, all right. We got some great news, and like Josh says, we might touch in on what happened this past week, and even today we got some trailers for some shows that we love, which we'll probably talk about later. But right now we're going to get to what we do best, and that's talking about the video, the gaming, and the collectibles. And we're going to start off by doing our old school. That's right, guys. We're going back to school, and we're going to the old school. And we're going to talk about, like Josh said, stuff that we grew up with. And we might even have some stuff here that might shock you, might make you go, wait, I didn't know that actually existed. So let's do it. And I'm going to start it up with a movie that I absolutely love. And this movie, if you guys have not seen it, it is basically Nintendo's way of marketing the shit out of the NES. And we're going to talk about 1989's movie, The Wizard, which basically is a Nintendo infomercial and was the very first time that we got our hands on preview of Super Mario Brothers 3. This movie basically is about a young boy who goes through some traumatic stuff when he's younger, and his brother and I believe his stepbrother goes back, and he basically runs away to California, and he is a pro NES gamer. And they enter a competition at Universal Studios to win the prize money. But the main thing is it's basically a family movie talking about a story of something that's happened to the family, and they get together. And it's just a fun, exciting 80s flick. This is at that peak of 1989 to 1990. And it has Fred Savage in it, who was very popular in the 80s. Hasn't done very much actually nowadays, but he was an 80s icon child, and I think that this film definitely speaks volumes to what they were trying to do. Like I said, it was basically Nintendo's way of selling their games, selling their system, and it's not a critically acclaimed movie. I don't think any of those movies will ever be critically acclaimed, but to me, I thought this was one of the best movies I've ever seen, and to this day, I still regard it as one of my favorites. Have you guys seen this movie? I know Rick has. What about you, Josh?
No, No, but I need to know where to watch this. That is an awesome concept. I love that it's like a commercial for Nintendo, but you get to watch like a game. Sounds like a gaming tournament, but
that's what it is. Basically, they're making their way to California, and basically they're stopping in between places, getting better at the games, and they use the Nintendo helpline, which was around in that time, where you would call Nintendo. They would help. Yeah, they would help you through their game. You would tell them where you are at that point, and they would try to help you get out of there. There was no internet. It was either that or you would have your strategy guide. But they were always there to help you. And this movie, like I said, it's such a heartwarming message. Such a great time to be a kid throughout the 80s and 90s. Josh, the really good thing is you want to know where you can see this movie. Well, your friend over here has the DVD, which he's going to let you borrow because you need to see that.
No, I don't need to worry about where to find it now. So
no, yeah, that's what happens when you got the video store right here. D-Money says she loves Fred Savage. We'll have to check this out. You're definitely going to check it out now, and don't worry, I am still going to give you guys the copy of The Lost Boys so you can watch too. You guys got to catch up on some 80s goodies.
Yes, we've missed some, so we got to catch up so I can be on par with you guys here on the show, you know? Let's go.
Yeah, but it's funny, this movie has so many iconic games in it. Donkey Kong, the original Mario Brothers, Ninja Gaiden, so many classic.
They have Tetris?
Wouldn't be on the NES, yes, it does. Yeah, it does have Tetris. Okay. Yeah, it has Tetris in it. And this was the first time that made you believe that the Power Glove from Nintendo, which is my trademark image, as you guys can see it on my logo, it made it look like it was the masterpiece of peripherals for your system. And for the people who actually had that
pretty terrible.
Yeah, it didn't do absolute shit. The movie definitely made it the best thing ever. So I don't want to spoil that, because when you see that, you're gonna be like, "What? They had motion controls back in that day?" No, it was their way of marketing the Power Glove. The Power Glove actually sold really well because of that film. And it became one of the most returned items at that Christmas because it didn't work.
False advertising. Sounds like false advertising.
It was. Oh, yeah. Like you said, this was Nintendo's way of marketing their games and their systems and peripherals, which is it's great. Like I said, it's definitely a great 80s movie that, some people say it doesn't hold up nowadays, but to be honest, there's something about watching past movies and feeling the nostalgia, feeling like you've gone back in time. There's that beautiful thing. It's like when you're listening to music, you listen to like 80s music or even 70s, 60s. You feel like you're back in that time period, and it's like it's the best way to relive something. And like I said, whoever hasn't seen this movie definitely needs to pick it up. I try to find all these movies. I try to find movies that not only remind me of my childhood, but have pieces of what made my childhood so amazing. And gaming, of course, was one of those main things. I'm a huge movie guy as well, so it's like the best. It's the best freaking tie-in, and the poster is great because it has pretty much everything you can see back in there. But yeah, you need to check out this movie. There's so much I can talk about this.
Mashup for you, Danny. I mean,
yeah,
it's an 80s movie. You're one of the best gaming consoles, like ones we grew up on, and it's all in one spot for you. I could just picture myself sitting there and just, even if the movie's not that great, you're just all the nostalgia just getting thrown at you. You're like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, so, it is.
Like, I'm excited.
Yeah, you're definitely. I can assure you and Danielle will definitely enjoy the film. It is, like I said, it's a heartwarming tale. And it's great because it does get you really pumped for that Super Mario Brothers 3 reveal, which I won't say how it happens, but you'll see it in the film. It's great. Like, it definitely is one of those things where it's a lot of fun. I got to give you guys the two movies so you guys can watch. But we're gonna go on next. That is my nostalgia and old school piece for today. Rick, what have you got for us this week? What are you taking us with here?
Well, I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite movies from my childhood. Came out in the '90s. Came out 1995, based on a very popular fighting game, and Josh has it in his back image there. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. When it came out, when I saw the trailer, when they were finally making a Mortal Kombat movie, I was so goddamn excited to see that movie in theaters. Now I can't remember if I saw the first one in theaters. I'm not too sure because it's going back, of course.
I think we
But,
only saw the second one in theaters. I don't
I
think
think
we
we saw the
first
second one. Yeah, for your birthday, I believe.
Yeah.
But man, that movie was awesome. I was so goddamn happy to see that they finally that they were making a Mortal Kombat movie. Just because I'm just such a huge Mortal Kombat fan. Like I play the games, of course. The merchandise, and I have the pop figures now. I got figures, I got everything. I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, so I was very pumped that finally we were getting. Of course, when the games came out, Mortal Kombat was huge. I mean, it took over the whole arcade, world, right? So, I mean, it was coming out at a time when the Street Fighter was like very popular in the arcades, like Street Fighter 2. So in the '90s, fighting games were very, very popular. Yeah, just because even there was martial arts movies and stuff and ninjas and everything. '90s kids loved ninjas, loved martial arts.
Yeah.
They loved all that kind of stuff. So Mortal Kombat was just like the best combination of all things martial arts. So I was so pumped to see that movie, and it lived up to the. I love the reboot. Some people love it, some people don't. I love the reboot, but obviously it doesn't. It's not as good as the original for me anyway, because the original is a much better movie.
I'll never ever forget the scene with Scorpion in the forest in between the trees and it's such an iconic scene where he's just shoot. It's just zigzagging through the trees.
Get over here!
Oh, good.
Yeah, it even the graphics when his palm opens up and it's just
baby.
It's so good.
It's just such a different thing. We see the new movie. Obviously, he's trained with the weapon that he's actually disconnected. Where in the original movie is in his body, he's Wolverine, but Scorpion.
Just whatever.
This iconic scene.
I think the best thing about that movie too is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have the soundtrack. I have it in my car, so that's what I listen to it, right? So I got the first movie soundtrack, and I got the second soundtrack.
No.
I love that movie so much. I even the reptile scene.
Yeah.
I love that scene. That's my favorite.
I was just gonna say, even growing up with you guys, back in the day, we used to game together, and I always remember it was we were just little wee boppers. We were playing Mortal Kombat because Rick and Danny had Mortal Kombat, and here I am younger than them, and I'm just seeing all these blood and guts. I was like, what is this game? And I could never win. Rick always kicked my ass, and I was like, why?
It was so awesome. And I think just because too, I think the reason why Mortal Kombat became so huge was the fatalities, because at that time you never seen that before, right? So, and the blood and guts, of course, but I mean the fatalities, I mean, once you put in I don't know, down square, and then you do the fatality, it was shocking, right? You never seen it before, right?
Video games, and that's why they went to court and had to fight for what they were doing with the video game, because no one had ever seen it before. So good thing they won that, because look at what Mortal Kombat has become, and whether it be the movie, the video games, and now a reboot of the movie, we're still getting new Mortal Kombats. What are we going to be on the 11th or 12th game once the newest one comes out?
Game, I think.
12th, that's crazy, and they just keep doing it, and they keep coming up with a story, and they keep coming up with new characters, and now you're starting to get collabs where it's just all of a sudden Terminator and Freddy Krueger, the Joker, you're just getting new characters in your game, and it's just it's never gonna end. Mortal Kombat's gonna live forever. So that's the movie. That's the original movie and Mortal Kombat will always have to fall back on. And sure, watching it now, it's dated as heck, but the nostalgia
so
for us, that's what this is about tonight.
Oh,
Like, I could go back and watch that movie many times. So
I just want to say thank you to Willie Lowe for subscribing to the channel for 3 months. Thank you, Will.
Let's go, Willie Lowe.
Very awesome streamer. Make sure you check out Willie Lowe's channel. Good friend of mine. We connected working on our previous establishment of Nerdy Northerners, and he does his own stuff now. Very awesome streamer and a great friend. Thank you, Will, for being here, buddy, as always, supporting us and the channel.
Thanks, Will.
But yeah, like, going back with Mortal Kombat, the 1995 movie, and you brought it up that the cast made the movie really good. Robin Sue as Liu Kang, like, he is. Oh wow, we got some great stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you, Will, for the gifting out there, buddy, for subs.
Oh my goodness!
Man,
there we go.
Oh man,
wow!
I love you, man. Thank you so much. But yeah, we got like Robin Sue, who is pretty much Liu Kang. He is the Liu Kang of my, when I think of Liu Kang, I'm thinking of him. Very, very awesome. We got, I can't remember her name that plays Sonya Blade. I freaking love, I think her name's Bridget. It's Bridget something. I freaking love that woman.
Yeah.
I love that woman. I've loved her since I saw her in what's it called? Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's Billy Madison.
Yeah. Where was my?
Oh,
there we go. Draven 1985. Welcome to the chat, buddy. Welcome to the stream. It's Bridget Wilson. Where was that woman when I needed her in school? I would have learned a lot more. Where the hell was that? Man, if she was my teacher, like, yeah, I'd be straight 8, man. I'd be like, fuck. But
I definitely wouldn't. I would be failing.
But she's
I would be able to pay attention.
Well, she could try and help you, but I think it'd be worse. You'd probably like you'd be slobbering out of your mouth. You'd be like, oh my god, I can't do it. But so good, the cast, and of course the guy who played Johnny Cage. There is still no person that I could say can match that guy's attitude as Johnny Cage. Like, he was Johnny Cage. He was the cocky son of a bitch who was hitting on Sonya Blade constantly ever since he first saw her. And it's like, Christopher Lambert is Raiden. He played a really awesome Raiden. Everything about the cast of this movie and the scope of how, in the 90s, that something like this could have been. We got the thing where it was successful. Of course, we got the sequel, which was not the greatest thing, but it was completely different, done by a different director and everything. And it was a different story. We had some of the characters come back, some left, but the 1995 movie will live on as one of the highlights of video game movies. Not the greatest, not the highest rated one, but amongst fans and average moviegoers, they really loved it. And Draven says here, Mortal Kombat, the memories I had watching this movie. Shang Tsung scared me for a long time. Shang Tsung was the best part of this movie. That guy is a god.
When he steps on the back of Liu Kang's brother at the beginning, Jesus Christ!
Mercy.
Like, holy shit!
Mercy.
Totally broke him in half. Your soul is mine. Like, beautiful. It's such a great thing. Draven says here, Danny, you would be hot for a teacher if Bridget Wilson was your teacher. Hell yeah, I would be. I'd be steaming on the collar, but. Definitely an amazing movie. If you guys have not seen the Mortal Kombat movie, the original Mortal Kombat movie, it's definitely a highlight of the 90s that does need to be watched. And parts of it holds up, parts of it doesn't. But I kind of go back to my thing with the Wizard. There's something special about having a movie that takes you back, even though some of this stuff doesn't relate to us now. It's still great that you can go back and enjoy these films.
For sure, yeah.
No.
I was gonna say too, it's just funny with like Bridget Wilson. Did she not also play in the Street Fighter movie as a character?
No, she never did.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought she did.
I wish she did. It would have been nice if she did.
Okay, that's my bad. I thought she did.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it would have attacked Danny's like.
It would attract my attention.
His two favorite
It would be too much. It would be too much for him.
Yeah,
Everybody
knows I'm a huge Street Fighter fan and Mortal Kombat. Those are my two highlight fighting games franchises. But yeah, if she was in Street Fighter, I would love it. Street Fighter, I got Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I got what's her name? There's a singer who did Cammy, and she's a very attractive Australian actress. Yeah, great stuff when you have beautiful people in the movie. But let's keep on going. Josh, what do you got for us this week? What's your highlight?
So I'm gonna go TV show route. It's a show that if we're going to talk about things being dated, it's dated. It's tough to go back and watch. I haven't watched it for a long time, but I just remember as when I was a kid, I could not stop watching Reboot.
Oh, so Reboot, one of my favorites.
Okay, so I don't remember a whole lot about the show. I remember obviously you had Bob, Dot, Enzo. Those are your main three good guys.
Right.
And then you had Megabyte and Hexadecimal. The baddies and the viruses. So basically these guys lived in a mainframe, which was the computer.
Right.
So what's crazy is you go back and watch this show and it seems dated, but at the time it was ahead of everything. Like graphically, it was like this computer animated show that you didn't have a whole lot of that back then. So it's a lot of polygons now when you go back and watch it. They were basically living in a computer system, which was their home, which was the mainframe, and a user would go to play a video game. Basically, us would be playing. I'm assuming. I can't remember. Someone on the outside.
Someone on the outside. Yeah.
Someone on the outside world would go to play a game, and at that point, a cube, the game cube, would drop down. Big purple
incoming user.
Incoming user, and then Bob was the guardian, so he was supposed to protect the mainframe, and he would go into the game, and he'd become a CPU. To face the user. I got this right? I'm remembering right?
Yeah.
You are talking
good.
to
You're doing good,
biggest fan right here.
And I will never forget. So that's basically the premise of the show. So, and if Bob or whatever character was in the game defeated the user, it would be game over, and they would protect the mainframe.
Right.
If the user won, then it would cause like some explosion in that area of the mainframe. I got it.
You got it, buddy. You're good. You're doing good, man. Let's just say you're remembering a lot, so.
Don't worry, I'll be here to help you.
I'll fill in the blanks if you go.
And I just remember how cool it was because they'd go into these games and they would have their little Reboot logo on their Reboot, and they'd do the double tap and they would end up in the game, and it was just as a kid that played video games, now you had a show that was like ahead of its time. You've never seen animation like this. And they're basically playing video games in the show to protect their world. How do you not love that as a kid? So I always remember double tapping my chest, pretending to go into video games. Enzo was my favorite because as we go on in the show, he becomes another character in Matrix. Episode I will never forget, and
best
obviously
episode ever.
We can talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
Because it was in 1994.
It's been on for a while. Yeah.
1994, the show came out. The episode that they mimicked Mortal Kombat. We're gonna go off what Rick was already talking about. Game and mimic Mortal Kombat, and then Enzo got stuck in the game. Had to replace Bob. So he got to pick the character, and he ended up picking a character that looked like Scorpion, and he took on this whoever the user was choosing. It was this big devil-looking character, and Enzo was in round 3, and he got his eye sliced. Man,
goodbye eye.
We're watching this kid show, and this little kid gets his eye hacked out of him, and smart enough to hit his reboot button before he actually died, which would make him stay in the games going forward. So that's where time in the game moved faster than the time in real life. So Enzo ended up growing up in the game. He didn't want to be that younger Enzo anymore because he was embarrassed by it. So he changed his name to Matrix. And That's when the
He
show
was a
went
badass.
dark. The show went dark. Like it was a kid show.
It's
All of a
like,
sudden, season 2.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It obviously they rebooted Reboot.
Yeah.
Recently, and just I won't even take the time to even watch an episode because I don't like that it's like live action.
I tried watching it, but I couldn't get into it.
They changed a lot of it. I've seen it because, like I said, I am a huge Reboot fan. Absolutely, that show was my life. Still is my life. I still regard it as one of the best animation shows on the planet. And the funny thing about this, I don't know if you guys know, Reboot is actually Canadian. That was
I left that part out on
Chill, baby.
I meant to mention that off the hop.
Yeah, it is a Canadian-made show that competed against Beast Wars and a few other 90s cartoons. And like Josh says, this show was so ahead of its time. Nobody had seen animation like this. Nobody had heard of this plot. And for someone who at the time wasn't very not entertainment into electronics and PC talk, PC jarble, I should say. This was actually a very confusing plot story for some people to get into. It took a while for people to understand that they were in a computer system. That they, like Josh says, they would go into the games to protect their mainframe. Because if they've lost the games, that eventually would destroy the PC, the motherboard of the system, and they would die eventually or be deleted, I should say. And yeah, it was such a different turn because when you watch the first season, it's very lighthearted. It's very fun and quirky. And then it gets to the part where basically, spoiler, I'm going to spoil it for you guys. Megabyte sends Bob into the web, which was pretty cool because at that time, none of us had the web yet. We were kind of
crazy.
Yeah, we were
crazy to think about, like how ahead, like they had this internet and the internet was just happening at that time, so they were already incorporating. Like no one even knew what the internet was going to be, and that's like when it was coming out, and it's just crazy to think timing wise and how like on the ball they were, and it reflected on their show. But it was a kids show, so not everyone like got full
understanding.
Understanding of this. It was almost too far ahead of the time. Like I'm like, it was too techy, right? But
it was.
It
definitely was.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, it's okay. It definitely was. Like I said, it was very advanced for a time period where even for me, when this show premiered, I was just learning how to use a computer. We were going back to the early 90s. I believe when me and my brother first got internet here at the house, it was either 1999 or early 2000 when we got our first internet at the house. And of course, at that time, the internet was not what it is now. Like you wouldn't see us streaming at that time. That never existed. So
sucks, man.
Yeah, it was definitely a different time, that's for sure. And we can go on about how the internet is good and bad in certain ways, and everyone has their thing. But we're gonna stick with the Reboot because if I spin off, we're gonna talk about it for a while. But basically, like Josh was saying, and this happens in the second season, is that with Enzo and Andrea, who basically becomes Matrix's girlfriend. And she's a sprite from the game, so she joins Enzo. She becomes a member of the mainframe. Ends up in that game. Ends up getting injured and has to go with the game, or he would have been deleted. And it was the only way to save mainframe before Megabyte damaged the whole place, because the place is destroyed after Bob is gone. Poor Enzo has no training. He's no guardian. Gets shoved into having to save his home and all that, and gets launched off with the game, disappears, and it's such an epic ending to that show, which at that time I really thought that something, I thought it was going to end. I thought it was over, and I was like, okay, well, the bad guy just won. In comes the next season, and Matrix pops out of nowhere, and you're just like, who the hell is this guy? This guy looks pretty freaking badass. You're in your mind, you had no idea what they were going to do, and that was change Enzo to be the greatest freaking badass to ever grace animation. And
He's got like the M on his eye.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
badass.
the difference from the earlier seasons to the later seasons, Enzo becomes becomes the Raphael, I should say, of Ninja Turtles. He's the hothead. He's the one with the big muscles now. He's the big man on campus. He's ready to go and beat the shit out of anybody who says something about him. And you know, the show keeps the same story of what he needs, except now he's looking for Bob. He's surfing the web. Surfing the web, I like it. He's surfing the web. They're looking for Bob to bring him back to mainframe because they're trying to get back home and to meet some new people. There's a surfer character which he rides a surfboard and it's freaking awesome. He's pretty awesome. Yeah, he's an awesome character. The characters of this were so brilliantly designed and created with great backstories. But like I said, Enzo and Andrea become closer together, boyfriend and girlfriend, and they eventually find their way back home. And the episode that I love is when they finally get back home.
Oh, good.
They save Bob. They finally find their way back home to mainframe. The place is a wreck. It's falling apart. It's near deletion because Megabyte has taken over. There's nobody who could have saved mainframe. And it's the showdown between Matrix and Megabyte, and it is such a freaking amazing scene because
it's so epic.
Yeah, because
that's so like it is today.
Because Enzo was always this little cocky boy who would make fun of Megabyte, and he would say stupid stuff, and then all of a sudden, Megabyte's like, oh, this little shit's coming at me. Well, I'm not gonna be worried about it. All of a sudden, he comes. Punches him so hard that it indents into his body, and Megabyte's face is like, "Holy fuck! What the hell's going on? Like, who the hell is this shit?" And it's so good, it's such a great moment in that because you're waiting for it. He's been wanting to do that since he's gotten stuck in the game and his home is being destroyed. So it's such a great show, and I can go on, and we can talk about this all day.
We can talk about it, yeah.
It definitely is a series that I think everyone should see. Like I said, the first season, it's gonna be a little quirky. You might find it a thing. Stick with it because you have so many references. One of my favorite shows is when they actually go into a game that is like the Evil Dead. And you have Ash who's with his chainsaw and his shotgun, and it's such a great thing. It really is
a good episode. Yeah,
there's so many great stuff. You'll catch all the references to movies and past games and concepts. Great show. If you guys haven't seen it, it's actually on. I think it's on Netflix actually. But definitely need to check it out.
I know.
Sorry, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was just saying that Enzo, he turns into Michael Jackson in that Evil Dead episode. Yeah. So he's doing like thriller like moments in there, which is kind of cool.
It's such a great one.
D Money's kind of saying in the chat there, it's easier to almost appreciate it now because, like, again, being ahead of its time, living in that time, like for her, she's obviously saying she couldn't get into the show, but like it was almost too advanced at that time because no one really understood the concept. So now when we can go back and you're talking about all these references, you could almost enjoy it even more. Yep. You just have to get over the fact that it was made that long ago with like a CGI like animation, so it's gonna look super dated. But if you can get over that fact, you're probably gonna appreciate what they were doing, and you're probably gonna ask yourself, how did they do this that long ago? Yeah. Knowing like they had like hoverboards and stuff, like they're going around on hoverboards and things like that. And
there's
like,
so many references.
Kind of like watching Back to the Future, and like it was a movie in its time. Like, how did they predict like plasma TVs and this and that? Like, they miss on some things, but the fact that they can do this type of Back to the Future and Reboot, and it's just like, how did they predict this stuff? How did they know this was happening?
It's crazy. It's crazy to know. Like, there's a lot of shows that do that, and it's just like you said, Josh. How the hell do they get so many things that actually happen? That's actually happened now that we are in 2021. There's a lot of references that if you go back right now and you watch, you'll get them. You'll be like, wait, what the hell? Like surfing the web, like Josh said earlier, no one knew what the web was at the beginning. It was it was kind of
Starting out.
Yeah, it was starting out. Basically, it was just information. It was photos and information that you would get for your project, and now look where we are now. It's us here, three brothers here streaming Saturday nights to entertain you guys, right? It definitely is such a huge thing, and like I said, you guys need to see it. It definitely is, and this was a.
Would almost. I know we've seen games do it,
Mhm.
and like we haven't really seen a show do it. It would almost be worth like they have such a good story already, just a remaster. Like literally, like I know they did it with like the Pokemon movie, and some of our generation doesn't like that reanimation. But with a show like Reboot, it's almost like potential to reanimate this, and everyone would be okay with it because it's such a dated animation. Where if they just took the same, just everything that you have, and just fresh paint a coat.
Just paint it up
fresh
a bit.
Fresh coat of paint, I should say. It would maybe work. Like I would probably rewatch it if that was the case, because it's almost hard for me to watch it now, right? So you could pull in the audio, like keep the story, keep everything the same, and just give it the fresh look, and maybe you have something, right? So it'd be cool to see Reboot come back in a capacity that I want to see it, where like it did before, it didn't work for me. So.
See, I think you brought up the Pokemon movie, the first Pokemon movie. The trouble and the reason why people don't like of our generation don't like that movie is they changed the story up. They changed it very very differently than what the original film was. I don't mind the animation. If they want to change the animation, that's fine. Why did they have to change the story so drastically?
Why not just keep it the same?
Yeah, I couldn't even finish watching it. I just turned it off. If you want to watch the first Pokemon movie, please watch the real one, because that's the good one. But
it's really good.
But let's jump on. Let's go with our gaming talk, and I'm going to talk about a game that it's funny because it might shock a few people, and the reason why I didn't like this game, but it became one of my favorite games, and it is Sonic CD. Now, Sonic CD was a game that originally released for the Sega CD. But before the Sega CD copy came out, the game released on computer. It was a computer game that I had. I had a collection. Basically, it came with Sonic and Knuckles, and it came with Sonic CD. I hated this game so much when this game came out. I thought it was just horrible. And completely different from any Sonic game that I've ever played. And, you guys and everyone who's watching knows that I'm a huge Sonic guy. I love Sonic. This game was like my most hated game for years until I got older and I purchased it on the GameCube collection, the Sega Sonic Mega Collection. Thank you. That's a title that's a thing. Okay, the reason why I hated this, and it's a few things that I hated about this game. I hated this game because basically it was a PC game. I am not a PC gamer. I'll never be a PC gamer. I know a lot of people here are. A lot of people like the PC. I always hated using a mouse and keyboard. I thought that was like the antichrist of gaming. I just couldn't get into it. I hated it. Mapping every button to a different keystroke is like that was never me. But the reason why with the PC gaming, my computer was when this game came out. Computers were still very very new technology. Not the greatest, not the fastest. And this came out on CD-ROM when we first got our CD-ROM, because originally we had a floppy disk. And then we finally got our CD-ROM. Yeah, floppy disk. We're going back, boys. We're going back.
Definitely old school, bro.
We're going back. But basically, you would load this up into your CD-ROM. All of a sudden, you would hook. The lovely magic appeared on your screen. You could play Sonic on your screen. The only trouble is you were playing Sonic not in a full screen. You were playing Sonic on a small little window. You couldn't expand it to fit the screen, so you're blind enough as it is because you have this very small square that you had to be like, okay, am I going in the right direction? Can I see it properly? Which made the game impossible to play. And you know how hard it is to play a Sonic game with a keyboard? it's like it's like, you know, I think I broke one of the keyboards. I remember that I was so frustrated because I couldn't play my Sonic game that I really wanted to play, and it was like one of the most horrible experiences. I kind of wish I still had that game. I don't know if I could play it not in my PC because I don't have a. Oh wait, I do have an external one. But if I had an old PC, I would load that shit up for you guys so you could see. But it was horrible. And the other reason to it was not. I got my frustration out on the PC gaming there, but the other thing was that it was very different story wise. So in this game, it completely takes its own story. It's so different from what Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 or even Sonic 3 was. This went off in a different direction. This was the first game where Metal Sonic came into the Sonic universe, one of Sonic's big baddies, which was very different because we always had Dr. Robotnik, and that was what we would fight. Metal was now the top dog that Sonic had to play in this game, had to fight in this game, I should say. And you would travel from past to future, which was something that wasn't done in Sonic games. This one was taking more of parts of the story of the Sonic animation that was happening at that time, which was completely different from the games because you had Sally, you had the Freedom Fighters, and it was a completely different take to what I knew as Sonic. The music was different. If you've seen me play it here on the channel, which you can see on, I think I have a clip saved there, and I played it as part of my 15-hour Sonic the Hedgehog stream for the 30th anniversary. It is a very different game, and it was one of the reasons why I absolutely hated this game. I didn't understand why it went in such a different way, why they changed so much of it, why did I have to play it on such a horrible PC engine. But eventually, like I said, I got it for the GameCube, and I finally got it for my Sega CD, which I got a couple years ago. This is one of my most cherished products right here, and it's a complete inset, which a friend found for me at a thrift store. Somebody donated this to a Goodwill, and I paid $10 for it.
No way.
The game is worth, like, I think last time I checked, for an actual complete inbox is over $200 now. So I'm very happy. Disc is not even scratched. Whoever kept this was mint. You know, I replayed it on the GameCube years later. This is when I was in my teens. I was in high school, and I played it, and I fell in love with it. It's like something changed from when I was younger, and I appreciated the game so much more than I did back in that day. And it's such a weird concept because it's the same game. There's no change to it. Nothing's been altered in it, you know, throughout the years. It's just playing it on a system that I didn't like or didn't feel comfortable playing, and being at that time where my mind of Sonic was that, you know, he should be in the Green Hill Zone. He should be, you know, with Tails, because Tails is not in this game. And I should also mention that Amy first appears in this game. So Sonic's love interest appeared in this game. That was her first appearance. And yeah, it was such a different game. And now it's regarded as one of my top favorite Sonic games of all time. Which I don't think I can ever explain it properly to people and be like, yeah, I absolutely hated that trash when I was younger, but I absolutely love this game now. It's probably one of my absolute favorite games of all time. Have you guys played this?
Sega CD, I haven't played it, no.
Oh, I didn't grow up with Sega systems, so I didn't get a chance with this stuff, right? So, and it's kind of interesting to hear you talk about it because when you're a kid and you're used to Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, you're used to like that type of Sonic, and then all of a sudden there's something that just gets thrown completely in a different direction on you. I can understand why your initial reaction is to dislike the game, right? And I know that's the way some people feel about 3D Sonic, but I mean, then you had Sonic Adventure and people love it, and so Sonic has been very experimental. So it's cool to hear you say you were able to go back and appreciate it, and now it's obviously become as much of a favorite game as you're saying, because you've been more open-minded to the fact that this is the way the game was. This is what Sonic was at that time. They were trying something new. They were trying something different. And you can't discredit that because at least they're not staying status quo all the time. Because you're never gonna see a game keep going. Well, I shouldn't say never. There's gonna be the Marios of the world.
There's gonna be,
but even Sonic still holds up as it is. Like Sonic Mania comes out, and that's the way I like playing Sonic 2.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see these games also want to do spin-offs and do things differently, but stay to their main course. So you get that bigger fan base, or you have that fan base reach out and try different styles of Sonic. So it's cool. It's cool to hear you like appreciate the game after the fact, but you can totally understand as a kid where you're just like, what the heck? What did they do into my Sonic?
It's like you don't expect it, right? You're expecting one. You're expecting it the way that you remember playing it, and it's just like a completely different change.
Scrolling game, and
it's just a complete different change. And even it's funny because you brought up Super Mario. Super Mario has changed too. You still got the basic core of platforming, but it's very different now. Especially with Odyssey, it's a very different Super Mario feel.
I love that game.
Yeah,
I love Odyssey.
And not saying that it's not a great game. It's also gone through very many changes. The same thing could be said for Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild is a completely different game compared to any of the other ones, right? You have
to mix it up because you got different consoles like different things, and then you want to show it off, and you want to make sure you get the big titles that are doing that, right? Because if you're not going to put Mario on the title of an N64 game, or same with Zelda or Ocarina in Time, and you're not going to put those titles on those games, those characters, you're not going to get as much of a pull, and people maybe won't remember them like they do now, right? So
exactly.
there's those characters are always going to try something different for those consoles, because I know as a Sega person, I'm going to sell a Sonic game to that mass audience because it's Sonic. That's their character. So if I'm going to try something different, maybe I try it with Sonic, see how it goes. Right, because people automatically can get drawn in. So I know Draven's asking a question in there in the chat, Danny, about
and Draven's saying here that is Sonic CD the one where you did past, present, and future. Yes, it is, Draven. That's exactly the title, my friend. It definitely is. You travel between all different throughout the level, and sometimes it can actually drive you a little nuts. You hit a little marker, and basically, if you run fast enough, you're being transported to the past or the future, or back to the present. Definitely is a completely different concept. And like I said, hated it when I was young, love it now. Absolutely one of my top favorite games of all time.
They're kind of taking away, kind of resembling like the Flash character, because Sonic is kind of like the Flash.
Exactly,
pretty much, right?
Exactly.
So maybe they took some cues from Flash.
Yeah, basically this is our first game where Sonic uses his speed to travel through the Speed Force. Flash reference there. Cool. But it definitely is a different game. If you guys have not tried it, do try it out for yourselves. And we have Sega who's bringing out a compilation piece next year for the Sonic 30th anniversary. We don't know which games are going to be in there, but it's coming out for the current gen system. So something to look forward to. But Rick, what do you got for us in the gaming? What school are you taking us to, buddy?
Well, we're going to go old school. We're going to go back to 1988. And it's gonna be almost a thing you just talked about for your movie. So it's gonna be Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, good choice.
I'm gonna talk about Super Mario Brothers 3. One of my favorite. I think it's by far for me is my favorite Super Mario game.
Mine too. I absolutely love that.
My favorite game ever. My second game, probably Josh. I think it's maybe yours. Is Super Mario Brothers World.
Yep.
I think that's your favorite, probably, because you grew up on probably Super Mario Brothers World.
We'll get there, Rick.
But yeah, so it came out in October. I think I have the date. Let's see when it came out.
I know it came out close to Christmas is when it came out.
Yeah, it came out October 23, 1988. So it came out a year before you were born, Josh.
Yep.
So yeah, it was one of the biggest games for NES when it came out, of course. Mario Bros. Of course, Mario is one of the biggest characters from Nintendo. I originally, me and Danny, when we first got our Nintendo, our NES, we got the first Super Mario Brothers game.
And Duck Hunt.
And Duck Hunt, of course. We were huge fans of Mario. I think we had Nintendo before we had Sega.
Yeah.
We were more the Nintendo guys. So when we were younger, of course, I think almost everyone as a kid had Nintendo. I mean, obviously you had your Segas. People had their Segas too, of course. But yeah, I was a huge fan of the game. I love the power ups in the game. I love when you get like the tail and you can fly.
Raccoon Mario, buddy.
Raccoon Mario is my favorite suit ever.
Yeah.
I also love the when you go into the green boots and you're jumping around. That's another favorite of mine. I love when you can
the frog suit in that too,
the
right?
frog suit, yeah.
The Tanuki suit was pretty good.
I think and my favorite level too is the water level. I love that level. When you go to World 3, I know the exact world too. World 3 is the water when you go to the water world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Danielle. She's Mario 3. We can load it in, and she just like knows all the little like secrets, and it's kind of cool to like because she's a little bit older than me, so she's around same age as you, Rick, and maybe a little bit younger, but it's just she grew up with Mario 3. So for her, it's like me booting up the game I will talk about, but being able to just like go back and be like, it's here, take this path, use this flute, go here and here and here, and so.
It's like if
don't forget to hit that box because you'll get this, and this, and I'm just like sitting there. I'm like,
it's
here,
planted, baby. Yeah, it's planted in
my it's kind of crazy now. Like after all these years, I haven't played it in a while, but if I go back, I can remember where everything is.
Yeah.
Just like the original Mario, like the first Mario game back in the day, I know exactly where every little thing is. And it's kind of crazy because I played it so much, right? It's like riding a bike, baby.
Yeah, you
never
forget it.
You never forget it.
It's like glued in there, but he's like the information's loaded, bud. But yeah, it definitely is. That game to me is still one of the masterpieces of the Super Mario world. D Money brings up a thing. She loves the giant world, which is exactly what I was going to bring up because I thought that world was absolutely incredible. Danielle, I can't believe we thought about that at the same time. Great. I was actually about to bring that up too, but yeah, that world was my favorite. I thought that was like one of the best worlds. And the thing that we that you didn't say, Rick, was that this Mario game was actually the first game to come back and do the regular style of Super Mario. Now, if you guys remember, Super Mario Brothers 2 was a completely different game. And I mean completely different game because it wasn't supposed to be Super Mario. It was actually a different characters. It was supposed to be a completely different game in general. But they remapped the game with Mario characters, and it was a completely different game. Still regarded as a great Mario game, but a completely...
It's still really good.
Yeah, it's still a really good game, but it wasn't the Mario that we grew up with. And
exactly. We just talked about with Sonic. Like, all of a sudden you had Mario 1.
Yeah.
And it was like classic side scroll, and then all of a sudden Mario 2 comes to North America.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another story too, though. Like there was an actual Mario 2 that followed suit of Mario 1, but that was a Japanese release, and the game was so hard that they decided that North Americans couldn't play it.
Yeah. That was the reason.
It's brutal.
Yeah, they rebranded a different game. I can't remember the name of the actual.
The Lost Worlds. The Lost World is
the Lost World is like the actual Mario 2, but I'm saying the game that the Mario 2 that North America got, and they, like you said, it was supposed to be different characters. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the game name, but it was reskinned.
So funny that they did that, and then it's same idea where it's just like, what the heck? How do we go from Mario 1 to this Mario 2 where it's a different pace game?
Completely different.
Completely different, yeah.
Throwing them at people and just trying to go up. So like that could throw people off, and then all of a sudden you go back to Mario 3, which is different but the same as Mario 1, and it's just like just like this oddball in between, but at least we can now play the lost levels and understand that was actually Mario 2, but it's still a cool experience. I still think Mario 2, like you guys said, is a cool experience.
It is cool.
It is, yeah.
Mario 3, like I didn't play it as much as you guys did and my wife did, so like I don't have as much of a tie to Mario 3. I know how incredible it is and how much it means. It's just so it's also a bit different in terms of some of the levels are like super short to me, where I'm just like and some of them like fly, like when you get the raccoon and tail and you can just like just fly through the whole level. I'm just like, well, I get to do that for Mario World 2 with the cape, but
you could.
It's just it's cool that it had such an impact on so many of us because it was like that last big NES game before we switched over to the Super Nintendo, right? Like a couple years later. So is that last Mario title, and they just obviously keep building off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, the success was huge, and the push from the movie The Wizard made sales go through the roof. This game was so huge, so critically wanted by fans and kids. It definitely was the hottest selling game that Christmas. But
probably one of the biggest games for NES. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was the biggest selling game of the NES.
I would have to go back to the records, but I know it is in the top 5. But let's jump on. Josh, take it away, buddy. Where are we going?
It's super easy to segue off of because you guys have that feeling towards Mario 3. We're talking about a game that you're saying.
Let's see this.
Mario 3. Super Mario 3 was big system with the NES. There's nothing bigger than Super Mario World on the Nintendo. If you had a Super Nintendo,
that was your game.
Super Nintendo, everyone had this game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is the greatest platformer ever made. You can never ever get sick of Super Mario World. And like, it's just a game that I grew up with as a kid. My uncles, they had a Super Nintendo before I did, and they would leave it at my aunt's house, and then just like always playing Super Mario World and over and over and over. And like, as a kid, I never truly beat the game. Like I would always remember those first few worlds. Yeah, and I have a story where it's just like this game means a lot, and so we used to work back in the day. Me and Danny worked at Giant Tiger together.
Yeah,
it may have been after you had left Giant Tiger, Danny, but because I was there full time, and I was like, I need something to do on my hour lunch breaks. Okay, so I brought my Super Nintendo because we kept watching the same DVD over and over on the lunch break. I'm like, I can't keep watching these movies. Yeah, I brought my Super Nintendo to work, and we had it in the break room. So me and my wife now, me and Danielle, when we worked back at Giant Tiger together, we took our lunch breaks together, and we had this experience where every lunch break we're gonna quickly eat our lunch, and then we're gonna sit there and we played Super Mario World for 2-3 weeks straight every lunch break together.
Yeah,
and we played through the game. We beat the game.
Lunch break.
There we go.
It's like such a cool memory to have with my wife, like to be able to go back and play this game that we both kind of grew up with. Like she, again, more Mario 3, but to be able to have that connection with Super Mario World, to me, that makes it even a better video game, more than a video game for me, just to have that little romantic story tied to it. But I absolutely love the game. I never get sick of it. We'll still boot it up on, like, we have the mini SNES, and obviously the app on the Switch. You can just play Super Mario World anytime. And there's still to this day, when it becomes when you talk like platforming and controls, the game played so well, and there's a feeling of being able to control what you want to do in a video game. There's nothing better, and the fact that they were able to do it on a Super Nintendo back in 1990, and this game still is regarded as, if not the best, one of the greatest platformers ever created.
For sure,
I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so I was more of a Super Nintendo than NES, so that's why Super Mario World to me is like your Mario 3, but it's just, it's so good. And if you haven't played it, you're crazy, but you got to go play it. So it's just a game that obviously Nintendo was continued. I know Mario's been the way it has, but they've been able to continue that route of side-scroll Mario. I just don't know if anything hits as hard as Super Mario World for me, man. It's so good.
Oh,
Well,
for sure.
well, it's funny because let's go down history lane here, boys. Let's talk about how we met each other. So basically, the way it worked is me and my brother were being babysat by Josh's aunt, and this is how we met Josh. And of course, we remember when basically me and my brother were dropped off. We were the ones who were awake. Josh was still asleep. We were the ones playing the Super Nintendo, and then of course once Josh got up, he came in and hanged out with us, and that's where he saw the magic of Mortal Kombat happen in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
But but after that, years passed. Right after we got older, we didn't need a babysitter anymore. We kind of went our separate ways. We didn't really have much connection, and at that time, it's not like we could pop on Facebook and be like, "Hey, there's Josh."
Yeah.
But years passed. I got a job at Giant Tiger, at which I met Josh again.
It was super cool.
Yeah, it was such a great thing, and we connected again after that, and that's where I met your wife at the time you were dating her. And the thing I always regret is that I was too shy or I wasn't very social compared to what I was now. I actually didn't really get to know your wife until 2 or 3 years ago, and now look at us. We're doing a show together. We hang out. Post COVID,
The
of
four
course.
best friends that anyone could have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I honestly, I miss hanging out with you guys. I can't wait until we can do something together again. But yeah, that was our history right there. It's like we basically, what I'm saying is that shit was like meant to happen. We were meant to meet up again, meant to get together, hang out, become great friends, and the brothers are here doing the show for you guys.
That's your full circle, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it is. It's that perfect, that loop.
What Danny was even saying too, it was like that time gap was just like
It was
we
huge.
were.
It was huge.
It was
time
like
gap.
5, 6, and we remember playing these games with each other. That's how much of a memory these games hold with us.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden, fast forward, now we're 16, 17 years old and working together, 17, whatever we were. And it's just like, there's 11, 12 years of our life that we didn't even talk.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we reconnect, and now I see you guys at the grocery store. All of a sudden we're hanging out.
You see us all the time now. Yeah.
And
Like
it's crazy.
Rekindle the flame, and now look at us. We're talking video games and movies like we would have, the ones we grew up with playing together. It's wild, man.
And
So cool.
it's funny because even with that gap in time that we missed out on each other, once I started talking to you, it's like that time vanished. We basically went back to being exactly like we were when we were young kids. It was just insane. Like that's something that doesn't really happen in life. So like you said, it was meant to be, and that's what D Money's saying here too. Awe with hearts, and it was meant to be. It definitely was. Thank you, Haas003, and holy, that's a lot of things. Thank you for the follows, guys.
You might be a little bit of
guys.
spam. Might be a little bit of that Twitch spam.
Yeah,
there's a lot of love here.
Thank you for that Twitch spam. I love it. But yeah, it definitely, this game, this amazing masterpiece of a game, will, like you said, it's regarded as the best game, and I don't think that dedication and love to this game will ever die. It's always going to be a huge following. Yeah, it's on. And it, like with the Switch app allowing the young audience to play this game, that their fathers, if you have children, that their fathers played when they were young, they're gonna love it the same as we do. Maybe not as much as the 3D ones because that's what they grew up on, but there's still something magical about playing this game with your kids and passing on that history lesson, and hopefully passing on the stories of how you're how you meet your best friends, and eventually
exactly, man.
Yeah, it's those memories it's those memories like Josh said that really make what we do and what we play so amazing, is because there's either be a movie, a game, a piece of music, or even a book if you're really into books. Something like that could connect you to friends and family that you'll have around for the rest of your life. It's a great feeling. but we're gonna skip ahead because we're definitely over the time limit, but we're definitely having fun. I don't think anybody's complaining yet, so we're gonna jump into our collectibles part of the story. And I kind of went. I had a hard time trying to figure out what I was gonna grab today. I got a lot of collectibles, a lot of stuff that I could have shown. But I want to show something that I bought not too long ago. It is a very expensive item that I purchased. Very hard to find now. At least one that's in very decent or close to mint condition, because this one was pretty good. I found this at my Game Cycle location here in London. And like I said, paid top dollar for it. Got 3 games for it. And it might be a system that you guys don't know about. It is a portable system that I have, which would have been competing the same time as the Game Boy Advance was. At that time, Sega was already out of the handheld consoles. This was the Neo Geo Pocket Color. So basically, it looks like a normal Game Boy Advance, but this was a system that was created by SNK. Now, the Neo Geo game series is a very, very troubling past because of how expensive it actually really was. So there is the full consoles that at the time would have cost you a fortune, and they came about at the same time as the Super Nintendo did, and close to the N64 time. It was a very powerful system that was very expensive. It didn't last too long because of that, and basically, it's regarded to be more popular in Japan than it was here. And like SNK is a company that's not really as big as it was back in the day. It's kind of lost its thing, though we might see it come back. They're talking about making a new system. But like I said, this was basically, I want to say, a watered down version of the Game Boy Advance. And I mean that because of course, with Game Boy Advance, with the second iteration to the systems, we had the color and the flip design that would protect your screen. This one was following the same design as the first Game Boy Advance, which it didn't have a backlit screen, so you had to play in the sunlight or a well-lit room. It used 2 AA batteries. And it used a watch battery that would basically, this would be your clock and your calendar. You can use it without a game. Like I said, you can put timers for when you're sleeping, and you have the 2 buttons, and you had a certain set of games. Now, I got 2 of my top games here. Of course, I can't go without talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. Now, this was kind of a spin-off of Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast system. This was the handheld version of it. And from what I didn't know, and I just figured this out not too long ago, is that this system actually would connect to your Sega Dreamcast. There was games that utilized the double screen like we have now with our Switch. Which, you know, if you read the layout of how the Switch came to be, there's a lot of things of connecting peripherals or connecting handheld systems to a main console. This connected to the Dreamcast, which was a shock because it's not a Sega system. This is an SNK, but they collaborated. And games ranged to about the same price as it would be for the Game Boy Advance games. And they all came in their packets, which of course was in a cardboard box, and it's about the same size as a normal Game Boy Advance game. And this is one of my rarest, most expensive games I bought. This is Capcom versus SNK, the match of the millennium, and it's mint in box. I paid a fortune. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for that because I definitely don't need to straight how much that was. But it's a fun system, not as good as the or as powerful as the Game Boy Advance, but it was still a very fun system. Very different because it doesn't have a D-pad. It actually has an analog stick. The very first handheld system to have an analog stick. Now, analog sticks didn't come into a system until the 3DS and the PSP. That is when they originally came onto a system. So it was very rare, very different that this one had that. And it was a system that didn't sell too well. This was only available to be purchased through Toys R Us, because Toys R Us had the rights to sell the system, and it's one of those systems that kind of disappeared. They didn't have very many games, and like I said, SNK decided to go the routes of just doing software, such as Sega. And there are a lot of great games. Like I said, I have 3 games: as Sonic Pocket Adventure, SNK versus Capcom, and I have Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man. But it's a very hard to find system now in a mint condition or playable condition. The games are very expensive, which is why I'm not a completionist. I'm not going for a full set of games because I don't have billions of dollars to spend. But it is a very awesome system if you're out there and you look, you find one at a thrift store or something and it still works. It's definitely something to pick up, even if you're just going to resell it. There's some good price in reselling classic systems, especially now because of the popularity of retro gaming. But you guys do need to go and check out some videos of it, see some of the games. Like I said, not as great quality as the Game Boy Advance, because the Game Boy Advance was basically you playing Super Nintendo games on the go. This was more playing, I want to say, Sega Genesis type of graphics, so a little bit downgraded, not to the point where it's horrible, but you can tell it's not as good. And the not having a backlit screen, it was always one of those things about the Game Boy and Game Boy Color that, or even the original Game Boy Advance, that was kind of frustrating. And then now with our screens, we don't need it. We don't have those problems no more. But definitely a great console. Definitely a lot of fun. Very rare, guys. So if you do see one, do pick it up. Like I said, if you're not going to use it, do resell, because it's definitely worth that. But yeah, that's basically my little piece of collectible retro news right there. But Rick, take it away. What do you got for us this week?
I'm going to talk about some action figures I used to collect back in the day. I'm going to go old school too, of course. Old school show. We're going to talk about Power Rangers.
Yep.
I was me and Dan. If anybody knows, me and Dan were massive Power Ranger fans. Mostly in our family, actually. Yep. All of our cousins used to watch Power Rangers back in the day. I think almost everybody watched Power Rangers back in the 90s. Yep. And Josh, I'm sure you did.
I was the Red Ranger for Halloween one year, man.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, we were all Power Rangers one year for Halloween. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, I was just talking about some of the collectibles that we used to have. I remember when the show came out, it was so massively popular. I loved the show. We had all the figures. I remember having some of the figures where you would flip the head. You press a button, it would flip the head.
I remember those.
Had those. We had like some of the Megazords. We had Green Ranger's
flute.
Flute. Had the flute. We had the White Ranger's Saba.
Mm-hmm.
We had some of the even some of the movie figures from the 1995 movie when it came out. Yep. We had some of those. Just nostalgia, like
so many
huge Power Ranger fan of them. I remember having like a display where we had like all the Rangers and we had the Zords and everything. And yeah, just that's my topic. And I was just such a huge Power Ranger fan growing up, right? So
the really cool thing. I was gonna say the really cool thing about these figures was the marketing for it. Now, of course, marketing ain't anywhere near what it was back in the day, and it's something I surely miss, because it not only gave young filmmakers a way to show their talents, but it was definitely something that made you really want to watch Saturday morning cartoons, was because of those commercials. Christmas was coming, those commercials were going to sell it. But with these Power Ranger action figures, these Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the commercials had a really awesome tagline. So, of course, those commercials would make the awesome backgrounds and stuff. You felt like you were part of the show. You got the forest background, and it's like smoke coming out. They knew what the hell they were doing with that shit. But the tagline at the end of the commercial was always, "Power Rangers, too hot to handle." That was such a cool tagline, because not only was that the commercial made these figures look like like they were transforming in front of you, or some magical thing that was gonna actually make you transform into a ranger. But it was one of those things where it's like, those toys were selling off shelves, and those too hot to handle was that thing where it was
Actually, even
saying,
more, right?
because it was too hot to handle, you couldn't find it in the stores. That's why it was too hot to handle. It was flying off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really cool tagline, and there's a lot of marketing from back in the day. Sega does one, Nintendo don't. And there's so many great marketing strategies that were done back in the day that you don't see now. And that's what would sell toys. That was what would sell games. That was what would sell systems. Nowadays I find that there's not that anymore. There's no competition really. There's no expressive, awesome commercials that would make you want these things more. It's definitely a time period where I think I really miss. I miss the 80s, 90s because of those commercials.
The marketing, right?
Yeah, the marketing is what made me be excited for a game. Nowadays, it's very rare that I'm super hyped for a game because of no marketing being done. Marketing was everywhere. You had them in magazines, commercials. Every time something would go to a commercial, that awesome commercial was gonna pop up again. You knew it was gonna pop up again, and that made you super excited for the game. Now with YouTube, you can just pop in there, watch a trailer, and it's just like, yeah, okay, we know it's coming. But that's it. You don't see anything else. That cool marketing strategy is gone. And for us who have taken marketing in school and stuff, those are days I miss. I want to see that happen again. I want to see that past kind of mix in with our future.
Just come back,
Yeah.
It's just relying on like the way the internet works now, and like it's word of mouth. So all of a sudden, the Spider-Man trailer drops, or Bayonetta 3 is announced, and it's like they don't have to necessarily rely. I know, and the thing is, we're excited for those things. It's still we still get excited and hyped up.
Yeah.
It's just more so they don't need to stand out in a way of the way commercials used to be, because it wasn't just us kids sitting there watching our anime TV show. Then in between, it's like, oh, Nerf, Hot Wheels, Power Rangers, blah blah blah, like all these great colors, like trying to suck you in.
Yeah,
it's like, because now they bring me in, baby.
Now they know everyone's on the YouTube, or on YouTube, or on
YouTuber,
Twitter or Facebook, and it's just easy to just like plop an announcement on there, and then you just resort to everyone else sharing it. Like, we've become the marketing for companies, in a sense, right? So they don't need to spend the money on those commercials, those big
budget commercials,
catch your eye commercials anymore. And it would be hilarious to see one of these companies come out with this big cheesy 80s 90s style commercial, because everyone would be like, oh, remember that? Like, it would be super cool if someone did it, but they don't need to anymore. It's
they really don't.
I don't watch like YTV and stuff as much as I did when I was a kid, so I don't know how I know they still run those little commercials, but
there's nothing on there to watch anymore, man. It's
I know
it's gotten to the point. It's got to the point where that channel has just died.
And everything's streaming services now too, so like that's where you lose the in-betweens of the shows, right? It's just ads for their own shows on their own streaming services. So we've lost. You're 100% right. We've lost that side of marketing things, and it's easy to forget that happened, but you miss it when you realize what you were seeing on TV. Now there's commercials don't blow you away like they used to, right? Unless you're watching Super Bowl Sunday and someone's doing something silly, and it's trying to stand out with a commercial because they know they need to be different. Where the rest of the year, it doesn't matter. We'll just make sure we get an announcement out on social media and watch everyone share it and hope for the best. Right? So
that's exactly true.
And with Power Rangers were just like po. They were like when they were
everywhere.
Going after the buddies, there was just like all these massive explosions, so it was easy to sit there and be like, too hot to handle, sparks. Right?
Oh yeah.
they love their explosions, man. That's what made that so great.
And the intros to Power Rangers. Come on, the intro to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Those intros, like, the one thing I miss nowadays that we don't have, like we did back in the day, is the intros to shows. Like, I mean, Reboot, like the intro to Reboot was amazing. intro. I don't know, Josh, if you remember, but the intro to Beast Wars.
Yeah, I know.
It was amazing, right? I miss those intros. Like it just
Yeah.
pulled you right in my opinion, anyway. Some people don't like the intros nowadays. They just want to, like on Netflix,
skip intro.
Yeah.
you got to skip the intro, and I'm like, no, I don't want to skip it.
I didn't waste my time making one when there's a skip intro button.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
That's the
think
thing.
about all the shows we would watch where you'd know all the songs at the beginning of the show because you just like get, and it still happens with kids. I know with my nephew, I watch a show and he knows the intro to a show, but it's just it's not the same because you can just skip it now and you just want to watch the show.
Yeah.
Oh, what can you do?
Yeah, times change, man. Times change.
Here we are talking old school show, reminiscing, and now missing what we once had and being sad about it.
Well, that's what this is, right? It's that moment to look back and not only educate everyone who's watching, but refresh our memories on certain stuff, right? And make
everybody in the chat realizing the time we grew up in. I don't know if we're going to experience that ever again. And
I don't think so.
Hopefully it comes around. Maybe we'll be grandmas. Oh yeah, this is in my day. We used to market like this.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those things where we didn't expect it because that's what our parents used to say to us is how much things were different in their days. We're exactly the same where we're missing all the stuff that we had as kids.
We're feeling old already.
Yeah, and like D-Money says there, we're fortunate that we lived through those times. I absolutely love the era that I grew up in. I wish that I was a little bit older at that time so that I could have all those money to buy all those games and stuff because I'd probably be a millionaire right now from selling them. But it's one of those things where at least we grew up with an amazing childhood. Amazing cartoons, awesome movies, the best time to be a gamer. You had the Sega Nintendo War. Such a great era to grow up in. But Josh, what do you got for us this week, buddy? What are you gonna show us?
I'm gonna keep it going with those old school vibes and old school games,
baby.
And I know Danny showed off a handheld, and recently, my father-in-law, my family knows I like to get the old school games and collect games. He goes garage sailing, and he knows if he sees something, a basket of something, and it's cheap, I say just grab it, and we'll go through it after. If we take a hit, we take a hit. If not, maybe we hit a jackpot. You never know.
Yeah.
So he was talking to his brother and let him know I was collecting video games, and his brother comes out and he says, "Here, give Josh this." So,
look at that. There we go.
Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a call from my father-in-law. He's like, "Come down. I got something for you." And he whips out a bag, and it has a bunch of games. I got like Tetris.
Some of the rarest games I've ever seen.
Pokemon Blue sitting in the back here.
Yeah, baby.
What was it? Tetris. I had the Super Mario Land. There was a few. There was the Tetris, and it was the Japanese imported Tetris.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
You got I think you had a few Final Fantasies that are pretty freaking rare. Yeah.
I was just like, this is so cool. I can't believe this is happening because I don't have my Game Boy Color anymore. Like, it's something that I didn't even think about, and I wasn't sitting here like, oh, I need a Game Boy Color. But then I turned it on, and it worked.
And here it comes. The nostalgia took over.
Nostalgia, yes.
Your face just light up like a Christmas tree.
Hear it?
Yeah, I think I heard it.
I hear it.
Hear that?
Yeah,
now I can hear it. Yeah.
The classic opening of Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon, and I was just like, oh, it's time from the screen. I just let it play, and I just let the music play over and over because I just like I can't. I forgot about this feeling. And so I was so excited to have this as part of my collection. Like I didn't even think because I've got like a bunch of Nintendo consoles, but I didn't even think like the handhelds back in the day. It'd be super cool if this was an OG Nintendo, but an OG Game Boy. But the fact that it's the next generation is the Game Boy Color. It's what I remember opening my Game Boy Color Yellow, and my parents got me the Pokemon Yellow game. And it was like the best Christmas ever. It was like hidden inside the tree. They're like, oh, look, there's another gift. And it was like tucked in the tree. I opened it up. It's yellow Game Boy Color. And I was just
that's my color. That's the color I got.
God, it was the best thing ever. And it was like, I'd play hours of Pokemon and Mario Golf on that thing. And I know you were saying about the backlight. I remember having like this attachment for this thing. Yeah. And it had the magnifying glass. Yeah. The speakers opened opened up.
Yeah,
and
and it had
there was
the
a light,
lights on it. Yeah,
and you're sitting here and it has this massive device on your Game Boy Color.
I'm trying to like play it.
I made the screen bigger and the sound was better, and my mom would be on the couch just like, turn that thing down.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it actually gave you an analog stick
yeah,
on top of the.
It did. Yeah, it was like it
Yeah.
was. I think I still have it lying around somewhere.
Oh,
But my favorite is this comment that D Money puts here. My mom said she's never seen you so excited with the Game Boy Color. That's the best. That's probably that. I wish you would have recorded that. I wanted to see that.
It was so funny. They just like, I was like Game Boy Color? Are you kidding me? And then Danielle's mom was just like, wow, I guess we should have saved this one for Christmas. Eh? They literally just gave it to me, and I was like, this is amazing. So it just like
so good.
nostalgia trip down, like this whole show's been, it's trip down nostalgia lane, and
Yeah.
it's so fun to talk about these things that we grew up on and remember these things, and you don't talk about them every day, right? Anymore, right? So to be able to take this past hour and a half, I know we've went longer than we usually do, but
Yeah, we did actually.
it's related. It's our childhood, right? We're talking about it. It's easy to talk about, and so it's great to have this as part of my collection. Now, the downside to having this in my hands is I'm going to be looking for Game Boy Color games, and it's just like it opens up a whole new door at what else I can buy in terms of the gaming world, right? So
There you
Ching
go.
bling bling, buddy.
it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
This isn't a bad thing, but it's a bad thing at the same time because it's a bad. It
It's
makes
a good
the
and a bad thing, right? So
Well, I could tell you how many games are out there if you want to know.
God, I don't know. I don't want to know.
no one, yeah, no.
No, I'll probably keep that myself, or else Danielle might come like breaking down my door and trying to find me. So we'll not give that information away. But
Oh, that's awesome.
hopefully you guys have enjoyed this show. A huge thank you to Josh's wife Danielle for giving us this idea. And
Yeah,
it's
that's an awesome idea.
it's an amazing idea, and we're gonna keep going with it. So basically, how it's gonna work is every end of the month we're gonna do an episode that takes us back. We're gonna go and talk about, of course, we're gonna have some new topics. We're not gonna go back and talk about Reboot again, or or those. It will change up. So every end of the month, we'll get to the point where we go back. We take you back with us. We have some fun, talk about stuff that we grew up with, things that we love, and all the other shows. We'll be talking about the new news of the week, which we'll give some news next Saturday on the Nintendo Direct. We'll talk a little bit about Amazon. Not Amazon, sorry. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Netflix and their new trailers for the new shows that happened today, which was pretty great. And if you guys are huge fans of Cobra Kai and Stranger Things, then you got some good stuff coming, baby. But
Oh,
yeah,
really good.
So some really good stuff. But that's it for our show tonight, guys. Rick, where can they find you?
You can find me on Nerd Central. You can get your cats, dogs, cousins, sisters, and brothers. Have them all join my page. Yeah, come on over and we can just talk all nerdy stuff. I post daily videos and trailers. Sorry, videos, pictures, anything nerdy. So just come on
It's
over
on
and join my
Facebook.
page.
That's on Facebook for
I'm
those
on
wondering.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you, brother? Where can they find you?
At twitch.tv/CarrHero, you can see my name in Danny's display page there. I'm streaming Fall Guys on Monday with some friends, and then I'm starting a new playthrough on Tuesday. We're getting into the spooky season, so I'm gonna stream a playthrough of Until Dawn, which I've heard has
That
some
should be
moments that,
interesting.
I haven't played it. I haven't watched any videos on it, so I'm excited because I want it to be authentic. Yeah, I want to be authentic. And I know that I can have a different experience than other people with that game. So yeah, twitch.tv/CarrHero. Check out my my page there and give me a follow and a subscription if you want. But then I've got Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Staying Indie Loop, where I share my stream news and any indie game news that comes up along the week. And I just kind of let the people know what's going on. And yeah, give it a follow if you like video games and if you like hearing me talk and playing video games at the same time.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, guys, and you can find me here at the Classic Red Box, of course. You can also take that nice little link, jump over to my YouTube channel where I have all of our past podcast episodes on there, where you can catch me and the brothers talking. You can also check out my shows, past streams that I've done, and some unboxing videos. Basically, there's something for everyone here on the Classic Red Box. So make sure you check all that. And if you like what you saw, hit that follow, hit that subscribe button on either or platform. And you can also join me on Instagram where I post lots of good stuff on there. But as always, that's it for our show this week, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for being here as always. And stay with me because we're going to raid a channel. And we'll be back again next Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, to talk all about the entertainment and collectible news of that week. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend.
Everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.